And welcome to another fantabulous episode of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. I am C.H. Gorog, and with me always is the host extraordinaire with the mostest extraordinaire.
This is Point 47. Welcome, everybody. It's good to have you guys here with us again. Our last episode we did, it was kind of disappeared into the ether because we didn't really talk about who was going to record, so we both assumed we were both recording, and then at the end of it we're like, uh-oh. This is like another lost episode. I think for all the say at the beginning, which is not too bad. I think we've done a pretty good job over the years, at least, where we've already established 91 episodes, and I think we've only had like a handful or so that are lost.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe like 3 of them.
Yeah, just that we've only had a few of them disappear either because of corruption problems with the files or just simply not. I think last time was the only time that we actually just forgot to record, and this is episode 191, and so just accounting for all of the lost episodes, we'd probably be at 194 or 5, not too much.
Just about that. I'd give that a safe estimate at this point. But how do we get into podcasting? I think the rule number one should always be is to make sure you assign who's recording, because that's going to be the most vital thing. If you can't record it, then it'll never happen, or no one will ever hear it. You can only maybe even reference it, but even then, the references won't make sense. Only to yourselves.
There's something to be said about redundancies in recordings, and fortunately, this time I've got the recording software going, and so we should be able to edit this and put it out with the other episodes.
Absolutely. It's fortunate that you're able to at least record on your end, because right now I'm not rocking my normal laptop setup, and I haven't figured out quite yet or put enough time to really figure out a best way to record our discussions off of like the Linux OS, because it's very as great as it is, with the ability of you being able to just kind of do your basic things like browsing the internet and simple things. There's alternatives to Photoshop you can also do. There's only so much you can really do, and a lot more. Put more effort into, especially when it comes to things like live streaming or even trying to record a simple episode, because a lot of options out there, and some of them will work, some of them don't, and that's the give and take with Linux, because at least it's free and you don't have to worry about paying an upgrade fee to get to the latest version of something, and it runs well on really like old devices. So you probably literally could run Linux on a tower that was initially built to run probably like Windows 2000, and it'll be running pretty smoothly if you get something low maintenance OS of Linux. So that's how great it is. That's always something that I always fall back on, because it's just a pain in the ass with just Windows in general. I don't know how different it is with Mac, but it's just like you have to find the Windows key in order to link it up to a device, and it's just a big hassle.
I completely. I don't have as many. Well, actually, maybe that's a separate story. For Mac, it is everything's stable, but we just have less access, so we can't use a lot of programs and a lot of things. Be like, oh, I could just pick this and tinker with the levels. Like, nope, it's a closed operating system, so you get what you get, and you better be happy for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's seems to be the model of the Apple world. Pre-made thing, and there's really not much you can do with it beyond that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I haven't kept up really. I've never been person besides having an Apple iPod years ago, and that always worked out for me well, which is the same as having the phone. It's just like couldn't make calls. Not that I would need to make calls anyway. Who does make calls these days in these day and ages?
Yeah, it's either text or cell phone calls, and I'd be honestly surprised if more data usage is being eaten up by videos and text rather than calls. I would not. That just seems par for the course.
Yeah, a lot of the data consumption it just has to usually do with media when it comes to just how the phone companies notice it too, because that's how they have their own is of kind of trying to get as much out of you as they can when it comes to data usage. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for a long time, I used to be on my family's Verizon plan, and they didn't have any unlimited data plan at all.
Mm.
The amount of data a month, and even then, it was a whole lot. At least with T-Mobile, which I'm on right now, at least you get unlimited everything, and it's I wouldn't say it's that bad of a price if you're sharing lines with other people. So it's
Yeah.
not that bad right now. So it's kind of been what's been the course for a while now. Just kind of a lot of data consumption on phones and really less usage of talk, unless you're really like unless you're really into like the business type of things, or you still have a BlackBerry, which I don't know if anybody still has a BlackBerry.
I do not know. I know for a fact that if somebody had a Nokia phone, it's still going to exist to this day, and long into the Fallout universe where everything has been destroyed by atom bombs.
In a waste somewhere of trash.
There was an image of somebody manipulated of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine with the classic arms crossed with the claws out, and every image is just like it zooms in a little bit more, and it goes into the claws, and it shows that like the DNA of the claws is just made out of like DNA particles of Nokia phones.
Yeah, that's doesn't it's not far off from where we are. That could just be like that we could see in our lifetime. That it could be like a Blade Runner type of thing, and just like
Ooh,
Deus Ex, just be like human augmentations based on just old Nokia phones. Imagine
that's the
it
future
just
we need.
if people are able to find and dig up copies of ET, dig up a bunch of old Nokia phones and all the flip phones and razors phones at the time. So it's
that
definitely possible.
that'd be brilliant if it just like the Deus Ex Mankind Divided sequel is Adam Jensen being augmented with Nokia phones. He has the instead of the Icarus, landing system, it's just like him throwing a bunch of Nokia phones to land on. So they're like, it cushioned my fall perfectly.
That'll put in the phrase. I never asked for this in a better perspective.
like the kid who like the younger brother who gets the crappier phone when like the older brother gets like the iPhone X and you just get the Nokia phone. It's like I never asked for this.
That's the hand me downs technology. I think it's even worse than clothes.
Yeah, because like clothes, like the only thing that really changes about them are the style, and that's about it. Like, I mean, it's pretty universal with the shirts and the pants, and you'll get clothes which are nicer, but there's kind of a relative range of a simple range of quality. Whereas technology, it's like a much clearer delineation of like, yes, this thing is obviously better and objectively cooler, and this thing is one of those phones from the '80s that they had on Miami Vice.
Yeah, that's like where it falls into line there. That's kind of like the worst option you can get. But yeah,
And
man. I mean, I'm glad to be back to record. It's been too long to be honest. I thoroughly enjoy our discussions all the time that we have. It's just a lot of life things gets in the way. So
Of course, we are
I really
adults,
appreciate. Yeah, I really appreciate you
allegedly.
guys. Yeah, in my own mind, I really appreciate you guys being very super patient with us when it comes to these releases, and
Hmm.
definitely loves the support that we have for those that are since day one or have recently started listening. So
Yes.
definitely appreciate that. A lot of shit has happened since we last recorded. I
Um,
can't surmise all the stuff that's happened. To be honest, I think
I think it can be boiled down to Star Wars and EA.
Star Wars, EA,
Like,
Hollywood scandals,
yeah,
all this.
jeez, it is. Man, I cannot imagine the just okay, so we've had a few movies come out. Like the big one that everyone was talking about was Blade Runner 2049. Have you seen it yet?
I did see it and it was fantastic. I really want to see it again. I haven't checked the show times if there's still showings for it, but I absolutely loved it. I waited for a while, and I was also hesitant about it for a while. But once I knew that the director for it was involved, Dennis Villeneuve.
Hmm.
Was involved. I didn't have too much worry because he's been really knocking it out of the park in a lot of his recent movies that he's been working on, with just like Sicario, Arrival.
Hmm.
I don't know if you saw Prisoners, but that one was pretty good.
That's on the list.
He's rising up in the ranks as like one of the really most sought out directors to look out for. It really would have been interesting to see what he could have done with Batman if he was directing it.
Oh man,
That's a whole nother story there. But he was like in the front. He was in the front runner for
dude, I didn't even
during
think
Batman.
about that. Him getting a crack at like the Scott Snyder version of Batman, that would have been awesome.
Certainly would have. But yeah, Blade Runner 2049 is a great movie. That's all I really want to say is to go see it, because not a lot of people did, and it's just a damn shame because it was a work of art. Just
It's beautiful.
and how they even expanded the universe of Blade Runner. I dare say that I think I like this more than the original.
You know what? It's interesting because they tackle a lot more themes than the first Blade Runner, but it doesn't have that same focus. And so for myself, I still think that the first one is. I mean, the first one I think is a classic, and I think the sequel, despite what I was expecting going in, and just getting really worried, like, come on, you don't really need a sequel to that kind of movie. This turned out to be really good. There's just like small things that I wish they changed that would have made this um, just not at like I feel like they really didn't need like the Harrison Ford is on the poster and in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler that he's in the movie. And I just kind of wish that they didn't bring him in. Like I think he was fine in the movie. I think he had good acting chops, and that this is one of his better performances as of late. But just I feel like he might and he was. I liked him in the movie. I just kind of wish that it was a different character, and it just because of how the original one ended. But anyway, that's a small gripe. I think it's a great film. I love the look of it. I love all the different characters and themes that they have going on, and I think Kay is a really good character for Ryan Gosling. He knocks it out of the park with that.
It's just like it's kind of like what I wanted the sequel to be. It's just more of like what the original was, just like with had had prominent themes and kind of it made you discuss a lot of things. Those are the type of sci-fi stories I always like. Just kind of mirrors like what not too far off from reality, and can also kind of lead into some other discussions on like at this point like it's wouldn't even be a problem in the future now. It's all just more about like it's all even now about like artificial things. Just like this guy, he's a robot.
Mm-hmm.
He's not as good as us. Stuff like that. It's those are the type of interesting themes I always like in the sci-fi genre. And
Oh yeah, perception is a big theme in the movie.
proper sequel. It also expands upon it very well. It's just, you're going to hear that a lot, but it's exactly what it is. And just, I'm always a sucker for cinematography, and that's cinematography always just blew me away with that
It
as
is a
well.
beautiful film, and I gotta say, Dave Bautista, you really surprised me with this one. I knew you could be big, charismatic, and funny in Guardians of the Galaxy, but he really brought it down and got intense for this role.
Yeah, been he's been ranking up there since his successes in Guardians. John Cena's catching up, but he's nowhere near Batista or The Rock. So it's interesting to see him now and into these roles. I don't even see him as the wrestler anymore because he's already just kind of established himself at least to some respect, at least working towards becoming more of a leader at this point. So
Well,
a nice transition from there.
yeah, and it's interesting that these wrestlers of note go into movies almost very well and almost immediate. Well, I mean, there's a lot of times where it doesn't work so well, but there's like a lot of notable people that of wrestlers or MMA fighters like um, Gina Carano or Dave Batista, of course Dwayne the Rock Johnson, and then you have John Cena or Nathan Jones, and I think they fit so well because especially for big budget Hollywood blockbusters at first because they can play very big and very much like a theater actor of just getting that sort of emotion across that people love to see.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of to your advantage, depending on who you are. Not everybody is able to transition as well. I mean, we've seen it with Hulk Hogan. Yeah,
How
I mean,
how
he
dare
had
you
his run.
besmirch his cinematic name?
He had his run in a couple of movies, but it never really went as far as those of Suburban Commando. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's
Some would say the
that's what it
Maltese
is.
Falcon of our generation.
That's what it is. Like if wrestling thing doesn't work out with you, which I wouldn't say to not work out in order for you to transition to that state. It's just a matter of like go through the years of like taking medication, taking all these bumps, and not just go to Hollywood instead. That
Yeah.
seems like a better alternative to me, but it really depends on the person because wrestling also involves a lot of acting as well. To be quite honest, because they have to convey a lot of storylines to kind of like try to make people care, even though like the writing great to kind of motivate people to really do the best they can when it comes to like conveying the story. Uh,
I mean, hey, it's got to be effective, or else those wrestlers who the fans aren't really taken to either, get shown the door or become side characters or villains and not really the main characters.
yeah, I mean, there's that, and then there's been a lot of years of just a lot of bad decision making when it comes to like create the creative side of things that are not initially supposed to be intended for from the company to be put over as a big thing. They kind of have to do it themselves, and they have no choice but to comply with
Mm-hmm.
what the fans are kind of enjoying. And sometimes they don't. They really like our trolls sometimes when it comes to thinking that your favorite guy that is kind of like the underdog in the situation is gonna win, and then they kind of pull one over on you. That's happened a lot. But those are the type of folks that have a lot of potential if they decide to move towards that different phase in their career. Then they definitely have the chance to because they have the charisma and can convey a story really well, and that's kind of like what you need for to be an actor, I guess. But
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's
it's
doable.
it's also a much better long term career for those who don't want to take as many bodily blows and just say like, yeah, I think I'll just pretend to get hurt or have a stunt double over here.
Uh, you don't want to be like Mickey Rourke's character in The Wrestler.
Oh yeah,
That's not. You don't want to. There's that at least out of.
working in a grocery store, getting angry,
You want to be in the route of Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
or Roundy, Rowdy Piper Right, damn it, I can't remember his name. He was in um, They
Hot Rod,
Live.
Roddy Piper.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
What? And it's like amazing how you can just like get these one-off actors who just like this is perfect for them.
That's a matter of like I guess what they intended to on script. So that's something that always ends up working out.
Mm-hmm. And then
Say, but I will say in conclusion, yeah, Blade Runner is probably the better film I've seen this year. I can't even think about. I feel like I've seen a lot of movies, but I can't think of a whole lot of them right now that
mm-hmm.
I've seen. I have to like look at a list of things. It's just the same thing with games too. I cannot think for the life of me like what are the top games of this year besides like Nier Automata, and that's like that's about it. That's all I can think of. All I've played this year is mainly The Witcher 3
Mm-hmm.
over again. I can't even like current the current times because the game is still so good. I can't even mention on the other things right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm working through that right now, and of Nier Automata, really enjoying it. I'm at a point where they had the big sea monster, and I still think I'm probably very early on into the A storyline. Um, but I just beat the giant sea monster, and all the other robots are kind of on the beach, and I'm waking them up. And I also made friends with a giant, kind of half turned off, half destroyed giant robot in the middle of the ruins. Who's just like, man, I am so bored.
Yeah, you'll definitely know where you're at at a certain point. Into like the ending types. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, from what I remember, I think you still got a little bit long to go, but it's worth the journey. It's wonderful wonderful journey to kind of continue unraveling the world of Nier Automata and its characters. So
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And just to add to your list of Blade Runner, the only other film that really stood out to me. It's strange because I think it's like a lot of the bigger budget genre stuff that turned out to be actually the better made films, which would be Logan and It, and like those are at the top. And I think Gerard's Game, I think on Netflix, which was the one with Carla Gugino as in the Stephen King adaptation, which I.
yeah, I saw it on Netflix. Like I wasn't familiar with the book,
Mhm.
but the premise of the trailer I saw on Netflix looked really interesting. I haven't seen it yet, but it seems like it was on
Yeah,
Netflix, huh?
yeah, it's pretty interesting movie. I'm not sure if it's for anyone, and if anyone said that they didn't really like it, I could understand why. It got me, and for video games, I would probably say yeah. I mean, Nier Automata, that's definitely at towards the top of the list. Um, the one that really blew me away was Cuphead, and I had that stupid grin on my face of just like, man, I can't, like, I kept dying. It was like Dark Souls, but with like old timey cartoon music and platforming and shooting 'em ups, and it's a really fun game, and I love the style, I love the music, and I love everything about it, and it's just so packed with content. And yeah, it just scratched something I didn't even know that was an itch.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Good platformers are always a dime a dozen because that's kind of like. I mean, they're kind of making a little bit of a comeback with like the remaster of Crash Band. No, not Crash Bandicoot. Is it Crash Bandicoot
The original trilogy.
trilogy? I mean, which I've been hearing is like hard as balls as well. It's like it's kind of
Apparently.
making a little bit of a comeback. I really wish I could play Cuphead.
Mhm.
It's not on the PS4. I don't think it'll
No,
be.
it's.
But I'm too lazy I'm too lazy to set up my PC just to play it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what consoles are for ease of use, and you don't want to, just be like,
Yes.
what's the point if I just go back to the PC?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to if I really want to play it because I've been reading up on like early Game of the Year contenders, and that's one that's been mentioned and mentioned. I can't I can't attest to because I don't have a Switch, but I'm hearing good things about Super Mario Odyssey and like Breath of the Wild.
Hmm.
There's that, and even like this game, I vaguely have heard of the early access game, the PUBG.
Yeah, apparently that's
Good buzz on.
yeah, good word on that. I haven't read up on it, but I really like the premise of it's like you and what 50 or 100 other players, and you have this giant map, and it gets smaller and smaller, and once you get killed, you die for good, and that seems like a pretty interesting concept.
Access games are usually are have pretty good concepts, and then like usually people lose interest in it because like they're so long in the development in early access, and by the time they get an official release, most everybody's just moved on to something else, which is unfortunate. But that's kind of like the state of gaming as it is. Just like movies, anything pop culture, anything that's new,
Hmm.
it's going to get a lot of press and a lot of attention during its initial release, and then just after that, it just seems like people just forget it unless it's like really. Then that's really the only like times that ever happens, which is like kind of far and few between.
Yeah, and it stinks because our wallets are limited at this point in time, and we only have so much access to games, and especially working, our jobs. But like, there's like a lot of interesting stuff going on. What Remains of Edith, Finch, Torment, uh, Tides of Numenor, Halo Wars 2, Observer. Trying to think what the and like even Tacoma, haven't played that one. Heard it was good, and I gotta say like Injustice 2. Wow, I love that. NetherRealm Studios is really going all out in terms of writing stories, and this is one of the best things to come out of DC. Not in the comics because I'm not, unfortunately, not really caught up with anything outside of kind of the Batman mythology at this point in time. But they do risky stuff. I love how video games are riskier in terms of like story content than the movies. And I love the idea of just like this is like a permanent story. It's not going to be like, oh, everyone's going to get back together, they're fine, and it's all going to be reset. It's like, no, no, no. This has lasting consequences. And I don't own the game, but I just like watching that entire story of everything that's going on. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I've been wanting to play that as well. I don't feel like I'll get the most out of it if I buy it because I don't have really a long shelf life when it comes to fighting games. But
No.
I've been considering and I've been checking as often as I can to my cool red boxes. It's something that I've been wanting to do. That's kind of like something that is still very beneficial that I always got the joy of doing. Just like when Blockbuster was still around, I enjoyed renting games, and that just makes things easier for me and my wallet to just being able to try to play them out for a little bit and not break the bank when it comes to that because
Yeah.
there's a lot of games coming out and a lot of them I just don't have no interest in supporting at all. Like I have no a lot of EA games, which we'll get into in a little bit, but
Oh
uh,
yes.
but yeah, Injustice 2 has been seemed like a really interesting game that I really want to play, and just with the recent announcements of just their DLC stuff, it's been really cool too. With just the inclusion of like characters like Hellboy and even the Ninja Turtles as well. So it's just crazy to me. But
Yeah.
I don't. But what the hell? Who wouldn't want that? I certainly can't complain about it.
No, absolutely not. And NetherRealm Studios, they have such great artistic design, and they get it. They understand like what makes these characters and stories tick so well. And I mean, they just get progressively better with every narrative. Ever since the Mortal Kombat reboot, I think they've been doing fantastically. And you can definitely check it out on like just the full story on YouTube, and just to watch
Yeah,
that from the beginning to end in terms of that. And they have like apparently a comic book series going on too, so it's good that they have that continuing on there. Also, I really want to get into Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, but I will get there when I get there.
well, yeah, that was another recent release. I still haven't even finished the first Wolfenstein because I think I'm probably partially way through it. I just like haven't put up the effort to finish it. But that one was still fun though. It's
Mm-hmm.
I like the mechanics of it. Just like not having regenerating health, and that's kind of makes it a little bit more fun as well. Just having to like run around like crazy to just find health. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it also kind of makes for a lot of frustrating moments as well because I just end up dying a lot. But fortunately enough, the loading times are pretty quick on
Mm-hmm.
those, so that just kind of mitigates any kind of complaints I could have. They're not like they're not like the day one or they're not like the day one Bloodborne loading times, but
Mm-hmm.
they're they're not like that. But at least they patched it a little bit, kind of help reduce that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the Injustice, what they're doing with the Injustice storylines, like I mentioned, the comic books I've been hearing a lot of good things about, but I haven't read them yet. But I've heard that the comic book series is kind of like it expands upon like the games, and I think they correspond with the recent release of Injustice 2. So there's always a whole different kind of alternate universe you can read on in the Injustice universe out there in the comic form. That
Mm-hmm.
and I just I've been kind of keeping up a little bit with what's going on in the right now.
Mm-hmm.
Reading up on some of the releases. Uh, there's been some interesting issues that have been out there since
Yeah.
uh, the current Batman run of comics have been really good. I haven't read the Detective comics yet, and I haven't read the All Star Batman ones, but I hear those are good as well. And there's a new mini series that is being done that's really interesting to me. It's called Batman White Knight, and about it because they're thinking like it's going to go like the SJW type of route, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like completely. It's kind of like
Become
completely
Marvel.
yeah. Apparently, that's what I've been hearing. Oh God,
Brian Michael
almost
Bendis
like
is jumping ship, and I never thought that would happen.
never thought that either. He's been in Marvel for years,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds like a pretty bad state of affairs. It seems like they're hiring anybody when it comes to writing stuff for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like the Batman, the current 8 issue mini series of Batman White Knight. There's only 2 issues in, but what I read so far has been really interesting. It's like it's kind of melds together like Batman along with like the animated series Batman and like current Batman. So it's kind of like has a mix of them all. So you'll see certain references to like the animated series in the
Oh.
issues, and the design of the characters have kind of mimic the way that the animated series was. It's a really interesting read so far. It's like there's an incident that happens where people think that Batman went too far into like I don't even know why. I always question this every time they do this, but it does make sense with the way they explain it. Like how they always talk about how he's making a mess all the time and just breaking shit when he tries to get the Joker, and then he was like he almost killed the Joker, and then he took these bottle of pills and just shoved them down his throat, and then like somehow these placebo pills. It's never explained exactly what the pills are right now, but it turns Joker. And they reference him to his original name, Jack Napier, from the Tim Burton,
Mm.
and he goes back. He goes back to like being like normal. He goes back to being like Jack Napier, and he's like in pursuit now of like suing the GCPD for all like the negligence they've done, and then also kind of allowing that man to do what he does. So that's kind of like the current story arc that's going on with that issue so far. But it's been really interesting read so far, and there's like this whole thing too where like
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know which one's real, if there's the imposter Harley Quinn, but the original Harley Quinn from the animated series just like kicks the current Harley Quinn's ass to get back to Napier in the comics. So it sounds interesting, but it's certainly worth the interesting read if you get the chance.
Mm-hmm.
It's only like 2 issues out so far, but I'm interested to see where it goes from here. I like how they blend a lot of that have been out there. It kind
Mm-hmm.
of puts them all like it's all like a whole kind of what Grant Morrison did in his Batman run, where he was kind of like illustrating how a lot of the timelines of the Batman history was like all in canon with his run of Batman, even though it kind of like doesn't make sense in this because it's like it would be old as fuck.
Yeah.
You would see like the '60s Batman and the original Batman, and he had a gun.
Yeah.
You see all the transitions of Batman in this Grant Morrison run, and it was all canon. But I guess it took place over the course of years. I guess he started out with just like the '60s outfit to start with in the 2000s until now. That's what I gathered from it. But I still, it's probably the most fun
Oh yeah.
run I've read.
It's Grant Morrison.
It makes Batman like a god.
He takes LSD. He becomes a god. Time travels. He's done it all. He's still like, yeah, I'm overly grim.
Yeah. So that's been an interesting read when it comes to comics and the Batman current comic situations.
Yeah, and I think this is something that can tie into a later discussion. But what's going on right now is EA in the video game universe. This year has been kind of controversial, especially with EA pushing a lot of their microtransaction and loot box systems onto players. That has severely impacted the game Star Wars Battlefront 2. And for those of you who don't know, loot boxes are essentially these randomized gifts that you can get after earning a certain amount of credits in multiplayer or buying packs to open up. And a lot of people, including myself, would call that gambling. And because they have a third party currency to kind of buy it between. It's like Bitcoin, so it's like, oh no, it's not actually gambling, but it kind of is. And they've been criticized for having like you can't unlock characters unless you play like 40 hours of the game, and it just got these ridiculous practices. They did an Ask Me Anything Reddit AMA, and it was a disaster in terms of like them answering, which was a lot of corporate speak, and clearly EA was not allowing DICE to really speak on the subject matter, and it has gotten ridiculous. And I think there was something new in the news in terms of them backing down from their practices, but like they cut down the price of a lot of their hero characters that you can buy, like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, but then they also cut down the currency rate that you get. So they basically did nothing and hoped that nobody would notice.
Yeah, that's been the big thing going on this week. Coming from my perspective as someone that works for a mobile gaming company, I know a lot of these type of practices, how they kind of work and how it's perceived by people, and it's come to be expected. Like, let's be honest here, you gotta be insane to think that if you're playing a mobile game, like you gotta get really that far into it without having to pay some amount of money.
Yeah, but there's the difference is like for mobile games, it's not a $60 investment. Like some of these games are like for the legendary or limited collection, you get like $80, up front for the game, and you still haven't unlocked all the content, or you don't have access to the content, or even something like Team Fortress 2 or Halo, where their practices are based on the idea of like, look, we want to make sure that the entire player base will be able to keep up together. So we're going to give you weapons and maps, but while we're doing this, we also have to switch this off to, instead of giving giving the option for map packs and DLC that will fragment the base, we will instead offer microtransactions and cards for cosmetics and weapons. Like, I can understand that. This just seems excessive.
I certainly agree. I wasn't leading to that. I by no means am playing devil's advocate. What I was saying was that no, I definitely get it. Like it's it's come to be expected with mobile games, and I think you should be a little naive to think that you can get really far in the type of mobile game aspect. But this is like what I was going to lead on to. I mean, this is like we're talking about like console games here, and they're making it now like mobile games. Like this is a pay to start game, and then it becomes a free to play game after that, which is insane to me. Insane. And I can't say that I didn't see it coming, to be honest, because this is EA has been like they've taken that spot. It's like a really shitty company. We try to like milk the customers for everything that they have. This has been something that has been in the forefront with them recently. We've seen it as far back as I can remember as Mass Effect 3. There was that type of system. It didn't go as far as it is now, but that was like the start of it.
It's what killed Dead Space.
That's what I saw. That's when you start seeing those loot boxes. That's when it started.
Yeah.
Spending it on like everything that they have. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in a racing game to have this. Like you'd come to expect like to be able to add parts to your car, not add cards. It doesn't make sense.
No, and it's so ass backwards in terms of their excuses for like. It's like, why would we want to pay, for these things that should be a part of the game? And they say like, oh no. The reason why you're paying, like some players don't want to pay through don't want to play through all these different aspects of the game, and just want to get to the good stuff immediate, in a much shorter fashion, and so instead of having to grind through all this, you can pay for it. And then the question is, okay, so you design the system so you have to grind for it. Like this is like a problem you yourselves have invented. This isn't just like, okay, like do a challenge like Arkham Knight where you get this, cool sense of progression where, do this challenge or take down these bad guys or destroy this base, and then you get stronger, and then you can put that into combos or weapons or upgrades. It's like we put away a lot of our game behind a paywall, and you can either spend a ridiculous amount of time grinding to get to that level, or you could give us more money. And so what they want is to pay for full games. They want microtransactions like mobile games, free-to-play mobile games, and as well as an MMO subscription-based payment system for a lot of these loot crates. And it's just it's like ridiculous how money obsessed they are, and they're ruining their games. And I think that they deserve, like, I don't think DICE had anything to do with it, because once again, they are the developers, and as we've seen from Visceral, EA will very quickly disregard you if you're not making them cash, even though they implement the changes you want them to, like with Dead Space 3. And it's just really sad, or Call of Duty World War II in terms of their loot crates, and it's just really sad to see, which is why I'm very happy that single player games like Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn and Super Mario Odyssey, Wolfenstein, the new Colossus and Cuphead, and Prey have all been doing pretty darn well. Because it's even in, like, the single-player stuff, I don't even get that. Like, in Assassin's Creed Origins, where it's just like, this doesn't belong here.
No, not at all. With the new Assassin's Creed, they even going as far as doing it very similar UI design as Destiny, and it's almost kind of comes off that way too. That it's like that you may need to like spend something in order to kind of get where you want to be real quick. This is, and I don't think it won't happen. But it's like, and I don't want to like put developers out of business or anything. But like, I feel like we need to not support this. We need to not buy the games that EA puts out, or not even spend a dime on their microtransactions. And that's the only way that I can think that it will help better things, at least in the long run. Because you're fueling the machine by spending It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It all adds up. Even if you spend $5, and that's your only time purchase, it's still making them money that they wouldn't have if other people do it too. It's just gonna create this circle. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep riding these gears, and we need to not support it.
I
Going as
completely
far
agree.
as not, I mean, was going as far as not buying the games or just not buying anything from their microtransactions store. Don't do it. You're gonna make things worse for future games, and for fans of Titanfall. I mean, good luck. Let's see what they do since EA bought Respawn.
Oh, jeez, yeah. And that's disheartening. It's. I do wonder if that was. There's some conspiracy theories that may hold water just because I think EA, Ubisoft, and Konami are this snidely whiplash level of evil where. Uh, so, oh, Konami. Oh my god. Like, I love how they're barely in the race anymore and everyone still hates them. Where Metal Gear Survive is not even out, and people are just like, just let it die. Nobody wants to see this happen.
I'm
And
trying to think which one's worse, EA or Konami.
I
I think they're both up there.
uh, EA and Ubisoft are neck and neck in terms of like exploitative business practices for their games. I would say that Konami is just like for the natural disdain that people have for how poorly that they treated their own employees. Like they are like the clear country winner by a mile, and like they just like they're also just so bad at implementing business plans like that. Like for Metal Gear 5, their microtransaction scheme was so complicated that people really couldn't even figure out how to actually implement it, nor actually figure out what in the world their online system was about. So I love the fact that backfired on them in such a spectacular manner.
I think I'll take it back. I think Konami is the worst out of all of them, just for the sheer fact that remastered cutscenes with the current Fox engine from Metal Gear Solid 3, but they've implemented it in the pachinko machine, and that's like
Oh god.
ultimate the ultimate stab in the back with the knife turning. Like we'll never see Master with the Fox engine.
God, yeah, that's
Best best week that we could get close to is seeing these cutscenes recreated just for the pachinko machines. It's a shame. It's a damn shame, CH. It makes me sad, and it makes me sad to say kept up that much with Ubisoft, but I don't know how far deep they are. They used to be so good, and I don't even know anymore. I don't even know if I want to see a new Splinter Cell with microtransactions. It'll just kill me.
oh my god, yeah. Well, I mean, that would be the worst. Fortunately, that it always seems like all the even with Double Agent, Conviction, and Blacklist, like the only thing that their DLC packs would be for like costumes. So maybe cosmetics would be there, microtransactions, but that still is like that's pretty sour. It should kind of be like a complete package and like stuff you unlock in the game rather than at the very most, rather than stuff that you have to pay to get.
Maybe they themselves realize that Splinter Cell holds a deep spot in their heart that they can't see themselves making another one because for the sheer fact that they have to put in microtransactions. And I think
Oof.
maybe this is best for the series because it's all the way I see it. The Splinter Cell series has been the most consistent in terms of quality. Say what you will, a lot of people don't like Double Agent. A lot of people don't like Blacklist. They don't like
Conviction.
Conviction. They don't like Conviction because they changed things to it, and I understand that. I see where they're coming from. But the games, I feel, never faltered because of those changes. They were changes that were made because they felt like they had to be made in order to kind of keep the game fresh, and I understand that. I do, and I always will hold Chaos Theory as like their magnum opus of games that they've made in that series.
Oh yeah.
Regardless of the changes that they'd made and then went back to throughout the series, it's always remained a very consistently well done game. It always had good reviews in my eyes, and it always like for me always expanded like the stories in the Splinter Cell universe that I always wanted to see more stories of Sam, and it always just
Hmm.
that's what it always did. It always did for me. It always put Sam in different situations and seeing how he comes out the other end.
Every game did not feel obligatory. It felt like they wanted to make a sequel, but they wanted to do something different, which is something that I really appreciate and enjoy. Where you had the original trilogy, which was the original Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow, and Chaos Theory, which was kind of perfecting that style of gameplay and mechanics and storytelling. And then with Double Agent, with Conviction, with Blacklist, they really wanted to try something new. With Double Agent, they want the morality system and offering players a different way to interact with the story, but they didn't. And people responded well to that, but they didn't want to just sit on their laurels and say, "Okay, let's just do that again." With Conviction, they said, "Okay, let's make this kind of a man on the run sort of scenario and do something like make him quick and deadly, but he also has to consider stealth in a moment's notice," which I do enjoy. I think that it was a nice change up, and I love the fact that how they canceled their first prototype of Splinter Cell Conviction because it was too much like Assassin's Creed, and they said, "Okay, we're not just gonna rush this out and say like, oh, it's something similar. Who cares? Just put it out there." They said, "No, we're taking this down. We're going to do something different because we want to make something new." And then with Blacklist, they said like, "Okay, let's bring all the elements that people really like together in a story that people really want to see, and have Sam back in the lead and make this an engrossing experience where it can be for new players, for experienced players, for players who are more action oriented and want to learn how to do better at stealth, and everyone in between." And I think they've done a fantastic job with that series. Remarkably high quality.
Just kind of like the other things that Ubisoft has been doing since the Splinter Cell has been commercialized and released. It's been I mean it's really been the one. It's been I think it's been their baby that they've put a lot of care, put a lot of thought and care to. Because that's just, as far as I could think of, that's really the game that put them on the map. I mean, at the time, it was like people were calling it like the Metal Gear Solid killer, but
Mm-hmm.
even then, that's like a generalized statement. Even though they kind of like sort of they're similar genres, but they're like kind of very different in terms of like story scope.
Oh
But
yeah, it.
yeah, I mean that's been like their most consistently well done series that they haven't fucked up like Assassin's Creed in a couple of ways more than one. And in this day and age, like in this day and age, they probably would have released that original prototype of Splinter Cell, and probably wouldn't have been good just based on like what was shown for it.
Old grizzled man Sam slamming people over the head with chairs.
I would have been very interested to see more of it. That would have been, but you could tell it was really early concept that they were like even implemented.
Oh yeah,
They still do in a lot of their games. They implement a lot of the things you see in Assassin's Creed when it comes to like surveying an area and like mapping out the entire map. You can do the synchronization.
mm-hmm.
Still doing that stuff. They did that in Watch Dogs. Did that in Far Cry, and in their own different way, but it's still similar in design.
Oh yeah.
I don't know anymore. CH. I thought I wanted to do Splinter Cell. Now I don't even know.
Well, I
I don't even know
mean,
if I wanted it anymore.
well, consider this. Look on the upside. So you were saying that their Metal Gear and Splinter Cell are two different games in the stealth genre, and they couldn't be like it's like saying that Chronicle and Deadpool are the same thing just because they're both sort of superhero movies, which isn't not really the case, and you can see how much they diverge. And I think that and another series that you and I uh, absolutely adore and love. That might be getting a little bit more freedom and away from corporate business model is IO Interactive's Hitman. And now that they've retained the license rights for the game, it looks like that they're planning on doing something interesting and new.
Yeah, I mean that's very exciting as well to hear. I'm happy that it worked out well for them and the series because that's as you know that's that's a series that is very near and dear to my heart for as much as Splinter Cell is. That's where my name comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combination of the two. I'm very happy that it worked out in their favor, that they're able to retain the rights and also be their own studio.
Yeah, and
with that, they already came out with the Game of the Year edition. There's in addition to that, there's there's like a bonus mission in there. I think it uses the same assets for all the maps, but I think you're doing something different. I don't know the specifics on it. I really want to play it, and you can upgrade. You can upgrade to the Game of the Year edition for an additional $20. I think so, from what I saw.
Gotcha.
If you bought them separately, or bought them in pass, or however that works out. If you have all the episodes downloaded, and you can upgrade to the $20 Game of the Year edition version, it comes with like bonus mission. There's that, and then I hope we get to see them go back to Blood Money, even though like this new Hitman was a lot similar in gameplay as Blood Money. I just didn't like how they split them up in episodes. I just would have preferred a whole complete package and a little bit more story. There really wasn't much story in that one at all. I mean, there's like is that story in like 5 minutes, or even less when it comes to how it was done. I hope that we get to see more of the sequel to Blood Money that I would have preferred to have seen. It's just a complete package and more of an overarching story.
Oh yeah,
like how Blood Money was. I would have preferred that personally. Yeah, and then they have a Hulu TV deal in the works as well.
Oh man, yeah, I'm happy to see a resurgence of that. I think I'd love to see IO Interactive really get back into the limelight with a new Hitman game as well as a new Hitman TV show. Hopefully, I do think it would work better as a TV show than a movie, just because it's about a stealthy assassin and not really an action set piece star, even in an R-rated setting, as the second film I think was trying to be, where you can't really do that. So you should definitely do it like I don't know, something like an R-rated version of like The Night Manager, or was it Mike from Breaking Bad? Just like do a version with of that with a younger guy, and he'll be good.
The last Hitman movie was it's more action oriented. It tried to be almost like a transport movie, even though that's kind of like that's what I always thought too. Like a lot of properties I would prefer to see done in a TV show, but it just works better. There's a lot of time to develop storylines and characters that way. I'll have some slight optimism on it. We'll see how it goes. I mean, we really haven't seen, not that I could think of, we haven't really seen any type of video game property be done yet. They haven't been done yet in that digital TV show aspect yet, like Netflix or Hulu. I know that Witcher TV shows in the works on Netflix. But we haven't seen anything of that yet to kind of get an idea of maybe type of platform will be better, and better for the brand itself rather than just a quick weekend cash grab.
Mm-hmm.
So we have yet to see if that will make things any better when it comes out on that platform.
Speaking of which, Mario is coming out. I'm sorry?
I just was saying I'll definitely look forward to it. So
yeah, same here. I hope it's good. I hope it's fantastic.
It's got a lot of potential. I could see it I could see different stories being told per episode revolving 47. I could see it could be like a guardian angel to somebody. It could be you could touch on.
They can even make him an episode where he's barely in it. He's like the Jaws of that episode, where it's these other guys, going out there this entire story, and he's just in the background. Then just like one scene, he comes in, just does his job, and then leaves. And then it's everyone just reacting to that.
it would be interesting because like one episode could be just like revolving around this mob family, and it could just be like it almost would feel like an episode of The Sopranos, and then the next thing you know, like 47 starts killing everybody, and then that's like the end of the episode. Or another episode could be like it could touch on some interesting themes, and it also be like I like the idea of 47 being that type of guy that is near the end of something. And I like the idea of also touching upon like real world issues that go on in the world, like just human trafficking and stuff. Like I feel like it could be really implemented well, like to see like the just the terrible side of that aspect, and also talk about how I mean like there's a lot of horrible people in this world that would it be that bad to see them gone from this world and see them be eliminated by a guy like 47? Does that make 47 by killing them, or does it make him an anti-hero? Stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly, and like especially like the scene that I'll never forget is the one from Blood Money where he gets a message from a bellhop, and so he invites the bellhop in. Then he murders the bellhop, and then just to make sure that nobody tells anyone else about the message. And that it's a very interesting moral quandary of like you need to make sure that nobody could follow this back to you. So is it all right for you to take this innocent life if it means that you take the life of somebody who's objectively far worse? And does it matter if the hero even acknowledges the morality of what he's doing and whether or not he's right or wrong? Because like for 47, just like this needs to be done. It doesn't really matter if it's morally right or not.
That's the type of stuff I love about 47 and his lore and mythos. That's the stuff I love to see be done in a movie or a TV show aspect. Because I feel like it could really have an impact, mainly on me. But I feel like it can have a lot of discussions, just like a good sci-fi movie can. Like this it would be like interesting moral discussion. I feel like it's possible. It's doable. You just need to have.
I think we're slowly getting there. And while I don't, well, I mean, I'm worried about Hollywood's track record. And I hope that one day we'll get, that they still are interested in doing them. I mean, we had the Assassin's Creed movie, which was not good at all. But, there's still interest in there. There's the Splinter Cell movie with Tom Hardy, kind of stuck in development hell again.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever happen, but it always will get me. I need to know. I need to talk to somebody who worked on Chaos 3. I need to know like what the hell. What was the reason behind putting a teaser trailer for the movie? My only guess would be is that maybe they did have a deal in the works that didn't fall through, and then like they thought it would go through at the time of the game came out. It's like put this in there. Tease people, and then it never happened.
Do you mean like if they actually had a deal like with Paramount or somebody to like make the movie, or is it just like maybe if we put this teaser in there, there'll be enough interest that like a movie studio will come to us and yeah,
genius marketing. Maybe that's what it was too.
Mm.
That would be genius.
It's coming soon. When? Damn it! It's been over a decade.
Guess me. I don't remember if it. I don't remember if that teaser trailer was available when you started the game for the first time, or after you beat it. I'm trying to remember, but
I think it was after you beat it.
I just remember I got crazy when I saw it. I said, "Holy shit!
It's gonna be a movie." I do wonder how they filmed that. If it's just like someone's cheap home video camera, and then just like, here, Bob, just like we got this headgear with like 3 light bulbs painted green. You can turn it on for about 10 seconds before your forehead starts to burn.
Yeah, I mean with homemade stuff like that, they make it look more legit since it was like pre HD. It was like on the standard 480p.
Mm-hmm.
I think you get away with it, make it look legit.
I mean, there's some
scale it just looks terrible now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had the recent update with the Xbox One where we could play backwards compatible games, and I put in Crimson Skies in there just to test it out, and they definitely try to upscale some places, but it's clear that like it's still 4:3, so like the sides are cut off, and
Right.
unless you want to like blow up the image and stretch it out, it's like not really intended to be completely widescreen. So it was made for the time. It's not unwatchable or unplayable in this case, but you just got to keep that in mind when you start it up.
That too on the 360. I popped in box version of True Crime Streets of LA, and it
Ooh.
didn't look terrible, but it was like, yeah, it did look a little stretched out. I don't even think you had the option to like put it in 4:3.
But best part about that though, you get to enjoy Christopher Walken's dulcet tones in stereo. They call this the city of angels. I haven't seen one.
The narrator and like a minor character in the game, that he didn't really have much impact on it other than just like a guest spot.
You're right. That's so weird.
He was in the beginning of the game and he narrated the beginning, but he didn't narrate anything else like in the middle, unless he would only narrate like the ending if you have alternate endings. But that's about it.
Yeah, it was that was weird because like he was touted as like a big part of the game in the marketing, and as a character, his character is in there at the beginning and as the narrator at the beginning, and then towards the end. And like once in like another mission, just in the background, like, "Oh, hey Nick, how you doing?" And then that's it. And like usually you'd get a character who like sees all the events of what's going on.
It's true. It was just weird. There's a whole backstory with him because he was friends with his dad, and that was about it. But there's like I think there is a way. There's a way in the game you can kill this character. You can kill him, but it won't affect the story. I guess it won't because you usually will end up dying. But when you get like a five-star rating on you, and all the cops coming after you, he's one of the cops that comes out to stop you, and you can kill him. And I remember that. I was like, it just
Wow,
way that you can actually do that, but
I didn't
it
know
doesn't
that.
affect anything because you just end up dying because you can't really survive those type of massacre type of things. Because it always really encouraged you to be the good cop in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hated that noise when you would kill somebody and it gives you the dun.
Yeah, it's like getting a question wrong in L.A. Noire.
Yeah, they always encourage you to be a good cop, and that's why maybe you never got to see that type of alternate scenario happen. I remember I did that one time. I just went on a rampage, and he was one of the cops that came out there to stop you, and you could actually kill him. It kind of took me for a loop there.
Yeah, I did not know you could do that. I did not know there was a game in which you can kill Christopher Walken.
Mm-hmm. It's terrifying.
Does he, when you shoot him in the heart, does he clutch his chest and go, "This ain't over, Baz," and then just die on the street?
What was it? No bad news. No, not bad news bears. It was like
Country Bear Jamboree or something.
Yeah, no Country Bear reference there. That's like a very obscure Disney.
It was in that midpoint where Disney was like, "Are you guys okay? Because besides Pixar, you're not churning out anything good." Because it'd be like live action movies of like things that probably should have been cartoons, and cartoon movies where it was just bad, like that horse movie or Brother Bear, and they were not doing well.
I try to sprinkle some goodness with the Phil Collins soundtrack.
Phil Collins can cure a lot of things. He can't cure that.
Pray about Phil Collins. And on a quick side note, at my job, we usually would play music from like the speaker a little bit, and I'm the one that plays the music a lot of the time. I'll take requests just like a DJ. And one night I was playing Phil Collins, and then like a coworker of mine just out of nowhere, he had no indication of this, just so random and so hilarious at the same time. He looked at me and was like, "Phil Collins is a misogynist," and then he went back to work. misogynist, and like just Phil Collins is this mortal enemy, and he's like a misogynist. And he thinks he's worse than Kevin Spacey.
So it was just like he didn't even ask you to turn it off because he was misogynist. He just wanted to let you know he was a misogynist, and then just went away.
I know he's playing, but it's just like it's been like a running joke that's been going on for since I've been there. It's been a running joke. So I always troll him with Phil Collins every time. It cracks me up.
Phil Collins, if you want to defend yourself, get on our show and give us your side of the story.
Yeah, I mean, the only drama I know of him is that his daughter Lily Collins. He was involved a lot because he was. I mean, at the time, he was pretty big. With Genesis and him being solo and doing a lot of the Disney soundtracks. I guess he wasn't at home a lot, so he didn't really his daughter didn't really see much of him that much to kind of very close with him. That's like the only thing that I know. It was like the only drama. I think he's been married a couple times, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. Well,
yeah.
Well,
shout out to Phil Collins.
Yeah, shout out to Phil Collins. Are you? Do you think Phil Collins is a misogynist? Like, favorite, subscribe, and right below.
So that'll be our thumbnail. That'll be our clickbait episode. Like, Phil Collins a misogynist?
Phil Collins equals misogynist? Question mark.
And you Photoshop his head onto the interviewer that grabbed Scarlett Johansson's boob one time. Photoshop Phil Collins on it.
We'll just Photoshop his head onto Harvey Weinstein's body.
It's crazy to me.
Speaking of, there's been a lot of these people in Hollywood apparently being accused and coming out as being abusers of women, as we talk about misogynists.
Our own resident Steven Seagal has been accused as well.
Yes, indeed. We've had it was Harvey Weinstein, and Kevin Spacey, and then oh boy, who else? Steven Seagal was one of the first wave accused. George Takei, there was somebody who came out and be like, yeah, back in the 70s, he had groped me, and then one of the weirder ones was Allison Mack, who was I think Chloe on Smallville, as Clark Kent's second in command, and she would be on the watchtower. Apparently, she ran a sex cult. What?
Yeah, that's what was that. Was that what that was? I only read the headline of it, but I didn't know that was what's going on.
I mean, it has not been proven yet. She has not admitted anything yet, but that's just what she's been accused of, and it's like.
Anything if you don't admit it to it.
If you deny it, you did it. If you admit you did it, you did it.
Yeah, the George Takei one took me by surprise. I don't know how I feel about that. Honestly, I can't really I can't attest to any of these accusations. Honestly,
no,
it's I've never been in that situation, so I can't speak for myself. I mean that's one of the common things from just the things that I've heard is just people are either embarrassed or just too scared for repercussions when it comes to coming out against people that they consider to be, have very high influence. Which I guess I could understand, but I just feel like if it was me in my own situation, I wouldn't care. Honestly, this is the type of stuff that I shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be going on like this. Even though let's be honest, this stuff that's been going on since early Hollywood that people talk about all the time.
Casting couches.
Mm-hmm. All this stuff, and people just don't really talk about it that much unless it's been brought up into the limelight. And even then, the reports on it is more to really get people to read the articles, and they're not really doing the important research and work into it. I'm sure it's true. I'm not going to say it's not, but. I feel like it's being put out there solely for the purpose of, because it's the hot topic right now, and anybody could easily make false accusations with like no proof at all. That's the thing that gets me. I'm sure there is legitimate ones. It's very hard for me to believe because I'm very much just a fact-based guy. I'm very much.
Yep.
I always support any type of evidence. That's just me. I think should be the thing for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that things like this don't happen or it hasn't happened to somebody. I just feel like coming out now because this is what's going on. I don't know. It just doesn't rub me the right way sometimes.
Yeah, this is a culture in which people, can have immediate headline-grabbing news with very poor research and substantiation, where it could be, once again, not saying it's not true, not saying it's not false, just saying, listen, just get the facts. Like, we'll discuss everything later because these are very serious accusations, and believing someone's allegations just as they're being said without verifying them is a mistake. And I think this is, I have no idea if this is just a floodgate of people who are actually coming forward because it's legitimate, or if it's just because, hey, this is headline grabbing news, so whatever, sometimes people will try to do this just to get a settlement out of court, just to keep them quiet. And that's once again something that has actually happened in the past. And as was the case with the Michael Jackson cases in the 90s. And there's also the questioning of what entails the sexual abuse or sexual misconduct. Like, for instance, Brett Ratner was being accused of Ellen Page of sexual misconduct, but he made a distasteful joke about her gender, from what I could read, about her gender and sexuality, which I think, hey, that you're being kind of an asshole, you jackass, if that's true. But it's that's not really a criminal offense, and I feel like that might be harder to substantiate in court. Like, he can make really bad jokes, but that doesn't, whatever. It's harder to figure this out. And you have people coming forward like Terry Crews and Alan Page, as just mentioned, and we also had people like Louis C.K. come out and admit to pleasuring himself in front of women, although he asked first, which that seems like very strange. But he, of course, admitted to it, so I guess that's out of the way. Is he still under? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. There's a lot of there's a lot to that we don't really know. I'm all for believing people that are actually victimized. I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I mean, I believe anybody that's telling the truth. For all we know, this could have just been like a misunderstanding as well. Like, it could have been interpreted. People could interpret things a lot differently than what other people are intending to, and then this is how these things fly like this.
Well, the thing is,
who knows what happened with Lucy K. I'm just saying, for like other example purposes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Brett Ratner stuff. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's okay to call him out being a dick, but I don't know if that is a criminal offense.
No,
I kind of believe it because it does look sleazy. This is just me going off randomly.
No.
He also went on Howard Stern saying that he slept with Olivia Munn, which she's denied, and so it's kind of like takes a lot of the legitimacy you have on his end as well. But that's neither here nor there. But it's crazy. There's a whole lot going on, and we may never know the truth. And this is going on too in gaming, in the gaming culture as well. This is stuff that's happened between last recording and now. There was a thing too with there's a thing with Nick Robinson going on there too as well. He got taken off Polygon because the girl that I think he worked with was saying that her nudes, and the way that it was explained on his end, and how other people were kind of like interpreting it. It seemed like it was not like forceful. It was just more like asking.
Yeah.
But it's like I wouldn't even see that as a criminal offense either. But I mean, or even a reason to take them off the site. But that's just the things that happen because a lot of like this drama or things that come up in the light, the sites will address because they don't want to lose ad revenue or whatever. Or they don't want to lose people on their site, which I guess I could get. So he lost his job, and there's also the guy Adam from What Culture as well had that same instance as well.
Yeah,
and then recently, I don't know if you saw, but like IGN went on protest for a day because of something that happened too.
That's right. Yeah,
I feel like that felt like their HR didn't do anything, but from what I was reading on both sides, I'm leaning towards believing the guy in the situation because he laid out this whole statement on Twitter discussing what had happened. And it seemed like from his end, who knows, he may be lying too, but there was at least he provided more info than the other person did.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about how it just seemed like it was more misunderstanding as well. Him being an older guy and the girl being younger, she looked to him as a superior, and then he big friends and stuff like that. It seemed like just a lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah,
it was investigated for 2 weeks. He was off work for 2 weeks, and they concluded there was really nothing going on based on their investigation. And he was told to keep things professional and discuss things work related with her. And then she ended up leaving the site. And then all of a sudden, this comes out a year later that this happened, and protesting for a day, and then they're back where they're at right now.
Yeah.
With your daily fixes, which I don't watch.
Yeah, it has gotten to a point where they almost have to jump to a conclusion in either case, because it's like if we don't come down on one side or the other, then this is going to have immediate blowback on either our user base or our ad revenue. And with of course, the saber rattling for the YouTube adpocalypse thing that happened, people are now really worried about how they're perceived. And so if they don't immediately make, decisions and movements of like, okay, we have to show that we're on the side of justice and, doing things right, then they're not going to be seen as upstanding citizens, shall we say. And I think that comes at the expense of justice and truth. Because I feel like a lot of these sites that just immediately cut people out or drop people just because of an allegation without actually investigation with a very short amount of time is just kind of backwards.
Yeah, everybody is very reactionary when a public platform when it comes to whether it be an editor on a gaming site, whether it be a host on a TV show or in a TV show, as we saw with Kevin Spacey, which it might have already been in the works as it is, but it made Netflix look good by canceling House of Cards. It's already been rumors that we're going to cancel it anyway. I
think I read something that they're trying to rewrite the last season because like they were in the middle of production, and since they want to limit Spacey's involvement as much as possible, I think they're going to try to film around all that.
Yeah, it's nuts. I don't know. There's a lot going on with that, and I don't know. We may even see more. We see more stuff going on in the future, whether it be true or false. I just hate that if it is false accusations, that it's ruin someone's career and their livelihood. Not even like big celebrities, not even those. Like even the smaller people, like people that are just like just do a YouTube channel for fun or just doing their thing on YouTube or.
Honest Trailers guys. One of the Honest Trailers guys was accused of sexual harassment as well.
Stuff like that, like it's really like it's really going to hinder a lot of people that are not even like that huge in retrospect to like someone that is of the stature of like Kevin Spacey or this higher up like Harvey Weinstein. I mean, those stuff like that. If those are true, I mean I guess it's good that those are out in the limelight now because I think people have a right to know in some respects, or at least people that actually were affected by it have a right to at least share their experiences, and then at least have some sort of justice felt upon them. At least those are the most important. I'm not gonna like sit here and say that or that the people are ousted, or for example, like I wasn't affected. The people that should be more relieved on it is the ones that are actually affected.
Mm-hmm. And
it makes sense.
I mean, the thing is that I've also been reading up news articles of like there was a Marine who had gone to jail because a woman falsely accused him of raping her after he had turned her down. And so now just that and other stories of hearing these wrongful rape allegations and sexual molesting allegations, these are things in which I say, listen, these people who are coming forward should absolutely have all the seriousness in the world paid to their case and their and the investigation. This is absolutely important to take a look into. But on that note, you should not immediately assign guilt to the accused until they have their day in court or they admit it. Otherwise, you're just being intellectually disingenuous.
That's how I feel as well. That's kind of a lot of this. That's what's been going on a lot recently. Not even just in Hollywood too. Just a lot of the stuff that's been going on here, even relating to what we talk about since day one, and just gaming in general.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but it's now you can't not talk about it because it's so pervasive now, and with the advent of and advancement of the internet, these things are bleeding over everywhere, and it's unfortunately I don't think it's going to go away soon, and I think it just needs to come down to the public learning better in terms of how to respond to news and reactions like this, and just being honest and truthful and seeking what's right. And I think that people are going to get burnt out on all these gotcha stories, and we'll just eventually come to, okay, listen, this is a serious accusation, a serious story, but give me the evidence first. Provide me something more than a confirmation bias before I start believing this.
Absolutely, that's how I feel as well. There just needs to be. I feel like there needs to be more evidence on that, and I think everyone just jumps the gun too quick on these type of things without.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Easy stuff. CH.
Yep. Heavy stuff, but I gotta tell you, the thing that did put a smile on my face is just how much fun and exuberance I'm having with Nier Automata, where it is just for something that just seems so inherently limited from the start. It actually expands so much in terms of how it uses the camera and how it uses the combat, and it is one of my favorite Platinum games, just because it gave me this RPG feeling of being able to explore and talk to people and choose side missions and just color the universe even more.
Absolutely, it's layered with layered upon layer of culmination of things that you're in the ride for as you progress. It's not all given to you in the beginning, but it's a start it's a start from where you were in the beginning till like where you are now. You could probably make a lot of leaps and boundaries to where you are now in terms of the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I liked about it a lot. It's very layered that way, and there's really a lot of in terms of story. It's just a great game overall. I was very impressed by it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
It's up there for sure for my game of the year contention.
Yeah, it's a damn good game, and I promise you I will finish it before we have our awards of the year so that we can truly dissect it in detail.
I look forward to it. It's one hell of a game. I haven't had time to play anything new. I just haven't had any interest in anything that's come out. I'm not interested really in the new Assassin's Creed.
No,
We've already talked about EA stuff. I'm not usually up for much really. I really have to like have a really tight knit group of friends to play it online, but that's really the only exception for it. I'm very much just a single player guy. I love playing single player games. There's a lot of fun to have with that. But if you start messing with the single player games, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I've been playing. I got this on sale for $8 on PSN. Mad Max. I've been playing Mad Max on the PS4.
Oh, kick ass! How is it?
Pretty fun. I will say it's. I wouldn't say it's like. It's not. I wouldn't say it's the best game I've played, but it's a fun game. Like if you're really into the Mad Max mythos, or you're a fan of the Mad Max movies of the recent that had come out, the
Fury Road.
Road, yeah, I think it's a very fun game. The combat is very similar to Isle, which is it's just never bad because it's a good combat system. Like it's like very innovative combat system. Like it's simple, yet can be also strategic and challenging as well. It doesn't go that in depth. It doesn't go that in depth to the Batman mechanics that much. Not that I've seen so far. It's just your basic attack button and maybe a hold down a button for a stronger attack, and just you hit a counter button. That's been about the gist of the combat so far. There's also the car combat as well, which you'll come across just these as you're driving throughout the desert. A lot of the maps for the lack of like buildings or like huge landscapes and stuff like that, the presentation of it is pretty impressive for this type of game. Like it just looks gorgeous. I never thought I'd say it looks gorgeous to be driving out in the desert. There's just a lot of just the terrain to kind of like drive around in, which is the bulk of what you're doing to get around. Just driving around or just fast traveling if you have the option to.
Mm-hmm.
And there's moments in there which is very I haven't figured out how they work, but they seem maybe random. I've only encountered it once, but there's moments when you're driving, you see the desert storms pick up like in the movie, and then you'll start trying to outrun it because you see it coming towards you behind you, and I ended up getting caught in one, and I got annihilated because the car is like nowhere near where it needs to be right now in the early stages of the game.
Yeah, that's gotta be fun to outrun weather patterns.
The sound design is very, very good. Like I love the way that their engine revs and the engine sounds when you're driving at full speed. It just sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me the same feeling as I did like at the beginning of Arkham Knight, where you call the Batmobile and then you get in it, and then it gives you the prompt to hit the gas. That was like one of the best moments from that beginning of Arkham Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just, like, drive the Batmobile for the first time. That's the same feeling I get like all the time when I hear that engine start when you get in the car.
Oh yeah,
it just sounds amazing. And you'll have your own little kind of companion with you, sort of like one of those guys you see in the movie with like the back, and it's just he's like this guy who believes that you're the second coming of Christ, pretty much, and he's like helping you build your car, because your car gets stolen in the beginning and just destroyed, and you have to like start out from the beginning and make your magnum opus of a car. And he's there with you to like shoot harpoons at other cars to take the tires out or rip the door out of the car.
That's awesome. Is it automatic, or do you need to prompt him?
You need to like you hit the press down on a button, and then you need to like aim it towards the car that's next to you. There's also options to like hit it like 2-button prompt, and it'll just do it automatically for you, just to make it easy, because it can kind of be pretty intense. Like you're trying to control the camera, you're trying to drive, you're trying to aim this thing. So it can be a little overwhelming when it comes to trying to do that. But there's systems in place where you'll just hit a button, and it'll just kind of do it. It'll just do it automatically to the closest car to you, just to make things a little bit easier. You can shoot out your gas tanks with your shotgun. The ammo is very limited in the game, so you're just as how it would be in the desert wasteland and post-apocalypse. So the ammo is pretty limited. So you're not really in need of it. You only ever really use it if you want to shoot out the gas tanks from the cars and just make those a little bit easier battles to in the car a lot more easier just to get rid of, because you'll end up being swarmed like by 4 or 5 cars at a time. So you're just kind of like driving around like crazy, trying to like bump into the cars to try to destroy them, and you upgrade your car. You have some spikes on the tires or on the doors, so you can kind of get more damage as you like behind them or to the side to kind of destroy them. And then you loot the cars of scraps, which is the in-game currency, where you're pretty much using it for upgrading your cars and characters itself as well, to just increase their stats and everything. But so far, it's pretty fun. It's been pretty simple so far. I wouldn't say it's too crazy, but if you like Mad Max and you dig the Batman combat style and just want to drive and feel like you're Mad Max, this is the type of game for it. It's very much like that. And it's, from what I played, I wouldn't say it's like one of those mid-tier games, like you would say, like in the vein of Murder Soul Suspect. It's not a game that didn't get that much huge of attention, but it's it's a nice little little cult classic game, you could say. AAA, but kind of mid-tier, but still good nonetheless. I'd support it. I wouldn't pay full price for it, but it's still good at a discounted price.
You got it. I will keep an eye out for that if I ever see it go on sale on Xbox.
And if you're really into the Mad Max series, it's pretty fun. I'm not that much of a fan, but I've been enjoying what I've been playing. It's like it was the better game that I could play and buy on the sale. I was not interested in much of most of them are just shooters. Even then, they're not even that discounted. The way they trick you into picking you as a discount, but you'll end up paying they won't even discount just the standard version of the game. They'll discount the deluxe editions.
That's how to get you.
I made my statement. I'm not supporting any EA games.
No, I mean, but this was before. This was before Battlefront 2, and it sounds like day by day they're losing even more ground and trying to appease their fans. But yeah, that doesn't look so good. But it wasn't that Warner Brothers who published the game.
I was just making a off-topic statement.
Oh,
yeah, it was published by Warner Brothers. I don't have a problem with Warner Brothers, but they're kind of leaning towards that a little bit too.
Yeah, if you don't go full tilt EA.
EA, it's a good game. It's a fun distraction as I'm transitioning to waiting to see what else comes out on the horizon that may be worth my time to play. I've just been playing that mainly, and I'll still sink my teeth into more Witcher 3. I really want to platinum the game, but I just don't have the drive to do so. In order for me to do it, I have to play it on a higher difficulty. And if you ever read the description on the higher difficulty, I just feel like I end up hating the game because it's too hard for me.
Yeah, the thing I love about Dark Souls is that it let me appreciate the success I felt after a harder challenge. And I tried to do that for The Witcher, Witcher 3. And although I think I tried to do the most difficult one, and I'm like, yeah, this is just not enjoyable. And that's the only downside of achievements, where it's like, you want to get, because it's a very human desire to see that 100% completion rating, but on the other hand, it's like, listen, I don't want to do this out of a chore perspective. I want to do this for the fun of it. So push 5 enemies off a cliff with Axie, or use your crossbow and potions, and then bombs with your sword at the same time within 4 seconds of each other. That's fun. Doing something like Death March, I think it's called Death March, where it's this is not fun. Where it's you need to be able to play it like one of those top tier StarCraft 2 players, of just okay, I gotta click F1 here, I gotta press QT here, I gotta look at the camera that way, and while I'm doing that, I have to blink twice so I know how much time I have before my eyes dry up. and like that happens within the span of like 0.5 seconds.
I just can't do that. Like, I mean, I feel like I just like end up hating the game if I do that. I mean, Dark Souls and Bloodborne is a whole different thing because there's really no set difficulty. It's just there's just one difficulty, and that's just trial and error. Uh,
Mm.
from what I remember of the high, it's like five, maybe seven different difficulty levels in Witcher 3, and I think that's where maybe some people get turned off by The Witcher in general. Maybe like Witcher 2 or 3 is that I think they play it on a difficulty level that doesn't really specify exactly like description, but it's not like your standard type of difficulty naming conventions. It's not like easy, normal, or hard. It's just like there's a certain phrase to it, and if people are sometimes inclined or feel like it just bothers them to turn the difficulty down, and then that's how they just like get turned off by playing it anymore because it's a little bit too hard than what it needs to be when you first start out. I just stick with like not even not even story and sword. I think it's just like the standard one. Like it's just it's a challenging enough, but not like you're gonna pull your hair out. They're like the death march. I hope it's not like a permadeath thing in there, but I feel like there's. I have to read up on it, but it seems like it's just a lot more challenging than it needs to be, and you really have to like be on top of like your potions and stuff because it seems like you really have like lack thereof of like healing when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's. Um, I'm not very good at tracking down everything I need to get, so being prepared for all the different combat tutorials and things that I would need to do in Death March would probably be horrendously overbearing. So I'm good with the difficulty I'm at.
And see, I'm gonna give it a shot, maybe for like 2 hours to see how it goes. But I won't try to complete the game that way. I can't even see myself trying to do that difficulty level with like the new bosses you encounter in the DLC because those were especially like the Blood and Wine final fight you have. So it's a pain in the ass even on normal difficulty. I had in order to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Death Claw.
Oh.
Like going on there.
Yeah, they that one was definitely like, okay, I have to memorize each of his movements. Like you flying up, he'll come forward a little bit and then come down for like a swoop attack. He'll like do this thing for Detlof's vampire fight, and just like, oh man, I'm really I gotta pay attention here.
Yeah, but it was like really it's just a little bit. I feel like I had to be more prepared in that one. I didn't have like the necessary. It probably would have made it a little bit easier, but not like it would have been easier to have like the vampire blood, which would have helped to give more attacks to against vampires in that situation. I think I just had like the vampire blood, which doesn't do that much as well. I think you need like the master crafted or legendary type of
Mm-hmm.
vampire blood in order to be able to do a little bit more damage, like 40-50% damage more against vampires.
Yeah, it's you got to save at particular places in that game that you might not think you have to, just to make sure that you collected all the stuff before going on into the final part of the game.
Is there anything that you had on the docket that maybe we haven't covered? We didn't really we didn't really specify on stuff we wanted to talk about. It's just more things like
Yeah,
that have been coming up recently and that I did want to bring up in some respects.
yeah, just catching up.
Yeah.
I'm all good on this end. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. Yeah, if you're all set, I think that'll be for us to head on out. It was a very good discussion, though. I really enjoyed this episode, just kind of catching up on things and just talking about a lot of the stuff that's been going on, which has been a whole damn lot.
Especially catching up with all the media we've been enjoying.
I'm I'm strongly considering just to give them a shot. I'm strongly considering just maybe getting some games from the Red Box to try out.
Mm-hmm.
As far as just to play Assassin's Creed, even though that's not really high up on my list to play. It's just to kind of a little bit more variety because I really get bored when it comes to wanting to play games. It was like I get this feeling like I want to play something. I want to play something new, but there's something out that I can play.
Yeah, and it's a big investment too. So I think you're right for going for Redbox.
And I'm gonna try to do that. Usually, there's some decent selections there. I actually saw that they're not that I would really want to get it, but I saw that they actually had copies of the new Call of Duty there in the Redbox, and I think South Park, the new South Park game, and Assassin's Creed, which is pretty nice selection because usually those are like swapped up really quick when it comes to newer releases like that.
Mm-hmm.
Website more often in order for me to find out what's available.
Yeah,
Instead of just guessing, just go to a random Redbox.
that might be fun. Do a little wheel of wheel of random new choices like we did back at Blockbuster days. Just like this cover art looks awesome, so I guess that will be it.
I've had some good memories from Blockbuster. I mean, if I hadn't gone to Blockbuster, I don't think I would have played Mass Effect as sooner as I did because it was like I had no idea on or really didn't follow at the time. This was like maybe a week after it came out. I didn't really pay attention to it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just recommended by someone that worked there. I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot, and I'm like, holy crap, Mass Effect.
Yeah, that there is something that can't really be replicated about Blockbuster and going in and just perusing the store and trying something new just completely out of blue that you wouldn't have normally that you don't really get these days.
But I mean, that'll never be replicated. But it was a fun times nonetheless. Yeah, not much else on my end besides everything that we talked about. I really wanted to talk about just in regards to and just the big stuff that's going on in
Mm-hmm.
pop culture. I'm gonna go see Justice League tomorrow, so I'm gonna
Ah, nice.
let's see how that goes. Honestly, it really took me by surprise that it was coming out tomorrow. I really hadn't kept up a lot with what was going on. I didn't want to spoil myself that much, and I think Warner Brothers has done a pretty good job when it comes to not making that same mistake as they did with Batman v Superman, which is kind of
Yeah, showing a lot.
like, the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they showed a lot before, and it didn't seem like they did a lot with this with Justice League. At least I've seen a lot of the same clips in just different variations, but it's good. I have so far from what I've seen, it seems like a mixed bag. But I'm just excited to see it because like I never thought we would get a lifetime. So I'm just happy in general that it's actually out, and I generally love DC, and I will. I mean, I just want to see. I want to see what they're putting out there. At least I can't agree. I can't all the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of the characters and the line of characters they have. So I
Yeah.
want to see it. I want to see it for that. And I'm not gonna sit here and try to defend Suicide Squad. I know it's not perfect. It has its moments, but
Man, Will Smith is just he is the light of that movie. I love it. Let me tell you, I'm happy about DC, and I want to go see Justice League, and I will give them a chance always because I love superhero stories and love that cast of characters.
I mean, it's just a different. It's a different alternative. I'm not gonna expect it or want it to be like Marvel. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be their own thing, even though it's not a perfect their own thing. I still want it to be their own thing. That's kind of like I don't want things to all be monopolized by Disney, which
True.
I was afraid it was going to. It's when they were trying to buy 20th Century Fox rights to the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, which I don't even know why they want the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. I guess they want a low bar. Like, see, this is the worst superhero movie that we have, so everything else should be like considered better in comparison to that.
And yeah, I'm also looking forward to seeing couple of weeks as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we shall see what lies in the future, and I actually hope to see that movie soon, and maybe we can talk about that on the next episode.
I'm genuinely uh, see some good moments from there.
Mm-hmm.
I did see a quick clip on. Felt like I shouldn't have, but I still got kind of crazy for us. There's a scene on from Justice League where you see Commissioner Gordon on the roof, and he's like talking to the girl, jump down, and then you get a little hint of the Danny Elfman track from
Mm.
back in the Michael Keaton days.
Well, that's fun. I like how they're switching it up. Then I like how they're paying tribute to the past.
Been a lot of changes for the last couple of months that they've been really trying to hone out before it came out. I was kind of like half expecting it to be delayed in some ways with the way that they were talking about it. It seemed like there was a lot of extensive reshoots and even like changed composers midway through too. They had Danny Elfman on there now.
Yeah, they bringing in Danny Elfman. I think they brought him towards the end or the end of production or at the start of post production, and
Just
um,
about, I guess, the same time that Joss Whedon was on there too. It's
mm,
enough contributions, I guess, that he had. There's this thing online too that I saw real that I comic books YouTube channel that talked about how there's been some already discussions about the movie and the negative responses to it. And apparently, like somebody was saying that the villain wasn't like that great, and then his Twitter account liked the post. I don't think that was a good move. And everyone's hating on Joss Whedon now.
they I am interested in seeing what his maybe it was like one of those things where the Warner Brothers studio heads came down and said like, listen, this is going to be this kind of movie. Steppenwolf is going to be this kind of character. We're not moving on this. And so, Joss and Snyder got to play around with everything else except for that.
Yeah, I mean that might have been it. It's very interesting. He hasn't come out about it at all since. He doesn't have a reason to, but that just brings up a whole lot of different speculations that we may never know the answer to. It could be a publicity thing or just uh, maybe he wasn't feeling it either when it came to the movie as well. It just kind of brought on his favor.
Mm-hmm.
Zack Snyder, I guess they are very close buddies.
I do wonder. I know Whedon wanted to do the Batwoman movie, and Snyder. I don't know if he said that this was his last movie or if the next Justice League movie will be the end for him. But I guess he's wrapping up soon, so I do wonder how long they'll be lasting into their films and who's going to take the reins over the main series of movies.
It's also who even knows kind of where the future holds a little bit too. I've heard so much, a bunch of articles, so much for the last couple of years, ever since Batman v Superman, talking about like is this his last role as Batman? Is he done with it? He's coming back to it? He's done with it? Back
Mm.
and forth on that. Who knows what's going on if he's still really obligated to do the new Batman movie.
Yeah.
Already been discussions that made if he leaves. That's just speculation.
Yep.
He
Yep.
is a
Yep.
very versatile actor. He's been in a lot of variety of movies that he's really put in a lot of effort in. Very,
Yeah.
he has very unique characters with Nightcrawler, and then I don't know if did you get to see Nocturnal Animals?
I have not seen Nocturnal Animals.
Oh, you should see it, man. It's really good. It's surprising because like you wouldn't have thought like Tom Ford would be able to make like this very complex layered movie like this. It's almost like akin to like that you'd see like David Lynch do in a way, but it's like it's a very interesting flick. I really would recommend it. Like for the sake of that, or just because Michael Shannon's performance in it was just like god damn amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend you see it when you get the chance.
Well, Nocturnal Animals will be one of my next films that I watch, and I will put that on the list.
Yeah, so I'll let you know how it goes and what I thought of the Justice League on the next show, and I might even just message you about it when I get out. I was like, oh, we could go either way. I'm gonna like be pretty hyped up after I see it, so my judgment will be very excited. Maybe probably afterwards I see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's apparently apparently one of the shortest DC movies too, which
Yeah.
I don't know if that would really make a difference, but see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. I hope for the best, and after Wonder Woman, I think that DC is on a good correction course, and I hope they continue it with Justice League.
Or what their next movie would be? Is Aquaman? I think Aquaman is finished wrapping up filming.
I think it's the solo Batman film.
Docket to come out. I feel like they were saying.
Let me just check that out.
That they already finished. I have to look at the schedule, but again, I can't trust it either because that stuff can change in an instant. I mean, they're already saying that they're going to make a Deathstroke movie, which just doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, that's a bit odd. I thought Deathstroke was going to be in the Batman film. But yeah, you're right. Aquaman's in 2018, Shazam's in 2019, Wonder Woman 2, 2019, Cyborg is in 2020, and
I don't even know if Cyborg's going to go through all the way. I just feel like
yeah,
I've never been hot on Cyborg. I mean, I think on the animated show for sure, but it's not going to translate with what they're doing now with the movie. I don't know how that's going to work. I feel like that's going to get scrapped. And
man, I was hoping that they would bring in Static Shock for their young character that they'd have, just because I love Static, and Cyborg. Maybe just like he's kind of like Vulture from Spider-Man: Homecoming, where the original version of him isn't really that interesting of a character, but just took that one great rewrite or iteration where it's like, oh, okay, now it's clicking.
Excited for Flash, at least the Flash, what they've rumored to be talking about doing a Flash kind of the Flashpoint style movie with just yeah. I mean this is what they have on the schedule, but it really easily could change, and I feel like saying that there's going to be a Deathstroke movie, I don't think it's a solid deal at all. Maybe there's ideas for it, but I don't think it's like going to be something that's going to come out. They've mentioned a lot of different stuff that's going to come out, which most of it is just probably just conceptual at this point.
A lot of maybes and ifs.
Yeah, at least with Shazam, I feel like it's a little bit more. It's a bit more solid because they really. I know that they would want to really incorporate The Rock into the DC universe. So it's gonna happen for sure. I mean, they're already casted.
Mm-hmm. Dwayne Johnson's already in there.
Zachary Levi is Shazam.
I'm looking forward to seeing which films survive and which ones turn out to be fantastic. And yeah, they got. Wow, I'm just looking at this. They got Batgirl, The Batman, Flashpoint, Gotham City Sirens, Justice League Dark, Nightwing, Suicide Squad 2, Black Adam, Deadshot, Deathstroke, Harley Quinn, and the Joker, Justice League sequel, Lobo, Man of Steel sequel. I'm like, Man of Steel sequel? That was like 4 movies ago. I don't think people remember Man of Steel. Like, just say like it's the new Superman movie.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe there's a less likelihood of work out either. I mean, I think George Miller is a great filmmaker. I don't know if he would be right to do Man of Steel, but with the recent news coming out with him suing Warner Brothers, I don't think he may be involved with it.
Yep. That seems like it's not going to be the greatest of relationships there.
I wouldn't think so. If you're suing Mad Max over, suing over Mad Max.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's too bad.
Maybe we'll get a Happy Feet.
happy three.
Abe.
Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift. Maybe talk about this on the side note. Maybe I'll message you about it. I'm still very curious on what the beef was between Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't have good chemistry together, or maybe one of them was difficult to work with.
I guess so. I mean, it's not everyone's going to get along. Everyone is uniquely different, which separates us in a sense.
What's funny about that is that Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, both of their stunt doubles, actually got together on the set of Mad Max Fury Road, and they're now married.
Oh damn! What a twisted turn of events.
What a twist!
Something good came out of it.
Yeah. So that's for me, and I think I'm all. That's all I got to talk about for tonight.
I don't want to keep you up for too long because I know the time differences can be a bummer. Partially on you for sure. Since I work nights, it's not that bad for me. I usually wake up around the time we do record, maybe like a little hour or two afterwards, but it works out a little bit best for at least for the grand scheme of things. Truly appreciate you guys listening out there, and CH for both of us, at least for trying to get this sorted out together with the scheduling differences and all.
Absolutely,
so we're able to do it. We're going to get close to 200, and we're going to try to do something special for that. Maybe we'll do a live stream. We'll do something. I really do want to do that. At least hitting 200. 200 is a pretty big milestone. I mean, we're nowhere near the grand scope of podcasting episodes like someone is like Joe Rogan, because he's always putting out three almost, but we're at least up there in terms of like gaming podcasts. I think we've been around as long as other ones have. I think that's an accomplishment in and of itself.
Yes, indeed. We got a good back catalog, and we couldn't have done it without you, Lays and Germs. Thank you very much for supporting us.
For myself, I want to wish you guys a wonderful day, night, whatever time it may be when you're listening to this recording. Truly appreciate you guys being patient with us as we come out with these episodes here and there when we can, and a shout out to everybody out there, and we truly appreciate it. Sorry we didn't answer your question. We did it. I think we did answer it on the last episode. I can't find what the question was. If you want to send it again, a new one, I'll absolutely make it a priority to have us answer that next time we do record. So shout out to him. Shout out to all you lovely people out there. And I will see you on the next one, everybody.
Yes, indeed. Goodbye, everyone.